Hello, everyone. Welcome to the new show of Sanskriti and Sanskar. We are back again, like usual Monday. So let's begin today. Today we have a very interesting topic to discuss. First, I will invite Dada Dayal Harjani to just say hello to everyone, and I will introduce the speaker later.
Vishal,
Yes,
would you introduce the guest first?
I will do that. Sure, sure. I thought in your presence I'll do it. No problem. So let
Okay.
me introduce.
Introduce her, please.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Then I'll welcome her
So
later.
yes, yes, perfect. Sure, thank you. So today I'm very happy and glad to introduce a very exciting speaker. She comes from the spiritual space, and her name is Abhidnya. Abhidnya is our guest speaker today. I will introduce her. So she's basically a spiritual mentor, and she works around intuitive energy healing. Her purpose and intention is to inspire people to remember and reconnect to a new being of life. She has a vast experience of 12 plus years. She leads and guides from her own experiences and directly from the heart, her heart space. From the heart, she does all this healing. So she specializes in energy healing with the help of frequencies, chanting, singing. Also, she does a lot of work around breath work and Reiki as well. She works, her specialty is to work around the phases of the moon. That is very interesting, and we would be happy today, and we are very curious to know what exactly it is. So, what she does is she uses the phases of the moon and guides us to shift our energy to the next level. So let's welcome with a warm heart Abhidnya. Please welcome you to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, now we can invite Dada Dayal Harjani, please.
Hari Om,
Dayal sir, Hari Om. Yeah,
Jai Jhulelal, and
Jai Jhulelal.
Sri Ram to all of you and our listeners. Uh, अभिज्ञा आपको दिल से हृदय से स्वागतम.
Thank you.
Okay. As a welcoming gesture, I would like to share a doha from Sahib Kabir from my book Kabir Speaks, which has a lot to say. And this is for all of us, the listeners as well as you. He says, Katha Kirtan, Kali Vish, Bhavsagar ki नाव कहे कबीर जन तरन को नाही और उपाव. So what he means, now this is the translation by Dadu Zain in the typical uh, English version with a perfect English rhyme. It says, devotional song discourses important in Iron Age. It's only the boat to cross the ocean of fear for the common population hand and no other means sincere. The purport means that in this age of Kali Yuga, as per the Indian scriptures, it is very difficult to perform austerities as done by aspirants in the past. So, in this age and time, it has been recommended to conduct spiritual discourses and devotional songs to attain salvation. I'm sure this will rhyme with your and attune with your psyche. Does it?
Yeah, it
Abhidnya?
does. It does quite a bit.
So, the idea is kirtan and dancing,
Yes, it
cosmic
is very
dance. Okay. Now, before I torpedo the questions for you, would you like to say something, or can I just start?
Oh, we can start and then we can see how that goes.
Okay. So now my first question will be, since can you put her on the screen? Hello, give her a bigger screen. Pradeep. Yeah, better. So, since your introduction is highly mystical and quite intriguing to me, and the modalities that you apply and approach your mentees, is this a matter of self study, self application, or you learn through a mentor? And if you have done self application, is there any experience that you remember would like to share with the listeners so that they are inspired by your expressions?
Yeah, so most of my journey has been about discovering myself and doing the applications on myself. And like I said, I teach from my own experiences and my own journey. So it's been about 12 plus years that I've been on this journey. And there was a time back then when I was a very different me. And there was a certain incident that kind of shook me completely, and I ended up asking myself if this is the best version of myself that I would like to be. And the answer was a very, very clear no. I think before that, I had actually lost my voice to speak up. I kind of forgotten who I am, and that is something that I've always been intrigued about, even as a child. And I think when I was expecting a baby, I think that is when this whole thing just kind of came right into my face, and I was like, "Is this the person that I wish my um, child to see me as?" And that was the turning point in my life. So I started with a lot of simple meditation, simple breathing techniques. I met a lot of inspiring people on the way. I met a lot of teachers and different guides. I experimented with a lot of different techniques, a lot of different pathways, and in between that I started kind of become deepening into spaces which I really enjoyed doing. Like I enjoyed doing certain meditations or certain, realized that certain things kind of helped me quite a bit. Like, for example, dancing. Dancing is something that I love doing. And I started incorporating it as a therapy. So I understood that, when dancing itself is an art form, but it is also a very, very high tool used for therapy, because it is a way of releasing that stuck energy in our physical body. The more you move, the movement kind of releases that whole stuck blockages in your body. So you automatically start feeling lighter. You automatically start feeling more clearer in your thoughts, in your being, in the way you look at things, you look at life. So these are very small ways that I started self analyzing, sitting with myself, asking myself questions like, does this work for me? Does this work? Doesn't work for me? Do I like doing this, or do I don't like doing this? And that is the way I experimented with breath work. I experimented with Reiki. I experimented with active meditation. I experimented with sound healing, all on myself. So I'll give you an example. So there was a time when I was extremely unwell, and I was almost bedridden with a lot of backache. And it was something that I had to actually see the physician, and was really given an extreme line of treatment. And being someone who I know that any illness on your physical body starts at your core, it comes on your energetic field first. If you kind of understand the core of that ailment, if you go to the root cause of that ailment, if you sit with that, then it is much more easier to acknowledge it first, then understand why it has come to you in the first place, then learn from it, see what it has to tell you, and probably then it is a little more easier to deal with it and release it. So when I had a lot of back pain, I actually sat with it. I went to the core of it, and I realized that it was affecting the core energy was on my sacral chakra, the whole lot of emotions that I was carrying. And I worked a lot with that with that chakra, I did a lot of breathing techniques for it. I did a lot of healing techniques on myself through frequencies, through a lot of chanting, through a lot of visualization and breath work. And it's been almost quite some time that I've been able to manage. Of course, the pain is on and off, but yes, I've been quite able to manage it without any physical surgery or anything. So I think if you go back to our ancient roots, with due respect to medical science, there is a um, lot of techniques that if we understand and natural way of healing ourselves, because the body's mechanism has a natural way to heal itself only if we allow it the time and space and the understanding to heal it. So yes, I've been a self-study, still work in progress, learning a lot on the way. And yeah, trying and experimenting with a lot of things that I like doing on myself, then I share it with others. And I also inspire and urge others, people who I connect with, to find what works for them. You know, it's like everybody of us has an internal compass to understand what you like or what you don't like. It's only that when you expand and understand what is available, then you start enjoying and experimenting with it.
Okay, so now, before I jump to the second question, you mentioned something about dancing.
Yep.
Since I myself am a connoisseur of dancing, I love dancing. So, which dancing methodology are you talking about? You know, there's dancing, Western dancing, or the native dancing going around the fire, or the Sufi dancing. What kind of dancing did you get into or indulge in?
So there is no particular way to dance. It's like basically dancing like no one is watching. So there is no way, there's no methodology, because the moment you bring in methodology, you bring in logic, and
Correct,
you're not letting go. So it
correct.
to get from here, to break that thought process to come here, is all about feeling. So if you're going to say, ask, okay, I'm going to do, say, a waltz, or I'm going to do an XYZ dance, then it's going to be, okay, I'm going to do it this way and I'm going to do it that way. But the moment you just allow yourself to move, so dancing is more in terms of movement. You allow that energy to move you. So it's initially for beginners, it's like, yeah, you need to kind of get into a rhythm, but then you allow the dancer to fade away and you just move. That moving, that shaking is what becomes a kind of a dance form, which is very unique to each one of us. So personally, I don't follow any dance form. I just follow a very intuitive way of movement, whichever way I feel called to move. So yeah, that's how I go about it.
Any particular music or
So I play music from all genres, depending on the space that I am in, or anything that I feel like. I play anything from Bollywood to Sufi to Native American to chanting to even the tanda, for that matter. So yeah, it comes with
okay?
whatever you're
So
trying to.
I think kirtan dancing is also good, right?
Absolutely, it is a very, very different space to be in, because for people who kind of find it a little difficult to let go, and if you just ask them to focus on the words more, so you kind of slowly taking them from one point to another by asking them to just kind of keep the focus and observe the wordings in the chanting during the kirtan, and just allowing them to flow in that whole divine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is my fundamental belief that people have forgotten how to dance. And
Oh,
that
yeah.
is why many people are unhappy.
Actually,
Once, if they
there's
become stiff, if they learn to dance, especially in the night, like in the olden days people used to do, half the problem will be resolved. This is my personal feeling. I may be wrong, but this is what I
no,
feel.
it's absolutely right, because actually there is a saying, if in Native American tribes and Indian tribes, if you would actually go to a shaman who is a healer, and if you tell him that, okay, I think I'm sick, the first thing that they used to ask the person is, when was the last time that you danced?
Yeah,
So
that's what I asked. That's right.
uh, if you've actually observed kids, they are so much full of energy. It's like some kind of a dance, so they're just always flowing. And it's that kind of a childlike energy that we need to bring in, because I think we have somewhat forgotten, that there is a child within us, and we really
Of
need to
course.
reconnect. That is why it's very essential to come down from here, to come down here, and just be. That's how it
Correct.
works.
So we are on the same wavelength where dance is concerned.
Yeah.
Now the second question is, why is self-work necessary, and why is it important to understand one's core energy imprints?
um So, self work is necessary because if you do not understand who you are, you cannot understand anybody else to understand you. We all talk about relationships, and talk about this person doesn't understand me, that one doesn't get me, and this is an issue, and this is what is going wrong. But have we ever sat and reflected? Do we understand ourselves? Do we understand how we feel? Do we understand how we think? What does a body say to us when we are experiencing a certain kind of emotion, or if we are in a certain kind of space? For example, if you feel anger, what is that anger actually telling you? Where is it coming from? Where do you feel it in your physical body? What is the thought process that it's linked to? When you start sitting with yourself and asking all these questions of whys and hows and what is bringing it, you kind of start going a little deeper within yourself. And it is very essential, because today we are kind of this whole product of perspectives of our families, of our friends, of our peers, our everybody who thinks what we are. And somewhere during in that whole journey, we've forgotten who actually we are. We're all wearing this mask and layers of who we think we should be in order to be accepted by others. But the whole point is, if you're not ready to embrace yourself, if you're not ready to accept you per se, then it's a far way off to even have that expectation that somebody else should understand you. So when you talk about self work, it is all about exploring those tiny bits within you that you yourself do not know. It's like, unfolding those little boxes, that unraveling those gifts that we carry from lifetimes. It is about diving into a space within, out out of curiosity, like asking yourself, why am I feeling this? Because as a being, when we kind of die, the physical body dissolves, but the energy, the consciousness is the same. It doesn't change. So you actually, when you reincarnate or you take a next lifetime, you only putting on another physical body, but the imprints of the last birth time, or subsequent seven at least lifetimes in the past, it's the baggage, the imprints that are already there on that consciousness that you are beyond this physical body that we carry. So it is very necessary to understand what imprints do you carry, which are bringing in potential challenges in this lifetime, that are creating obstacles for one to to discover their true potential. When you sit with this, when you dive deeper, when you ask the right questions, we generally tend to start seeing patterns, repeated patterns that come up. And when you understand these patterns, it becomes easier to work on these patterns, to break them, to dissolve them, so that every imprint gets dissolved. When it gets dissolved, you heal a little. When you heal a little, there's an unhidden, there's a hidden part within you that gets revealed. And that is how you evolve. That is how you become a better version of yourself. So it is extremely important to work on yourself, because in my personal journey, in my 10 plus years being on this whole understanding of who I am. I cannot identify with the person I was 10 years back, for that matter, even a month back, because every day I'm discovering something new about myself. Every day there is something that I'm learning about myself. And I think it's very beautiful. It helps me be curious. Yeah, it's my biggest time, pastime, because I just sit and I just watch and I just feel, and I'm like, okay, there's something new, and it's exciting. I find it extremely extreme. I think that's isn't that the purpose of life? Isn't that why we are here, to understand ourselves better, to become a better version than what we were yesterday. So I think it's a win-win situation. You understand yourself better, you understand others better. Relationships improve, your creativity improves, your life improves, opportunities come, because then your whole perspective towards life changes. You are less attached to the outcome, and you are more engaged with the flow. I'm not saying take away the desires. The desires need to be there, but how, when, that's not the point. It's just, you just be. You just say that, okay. It's like, I want an apple, but I've given up how the apple comes to me, when it comes to me, whether it's a red apple, whether it's a green apple. I just want an
Very
apple.
interesting. Fantastic. I think Vishal is quite
Yeah.
interested to the questions.
Yes.
Vishal, can
Yes.
you take over question
Yeah. Yeah.
three from
Sure.
you? And I'll
Sure.
ask the
Sure.
last question, and
Sure.
probably I'll round off with some difficult questions for her. But
Okay.
go ahead with the three questions.
So,
Go
Abhidnya,
ahead,
the last, yeah, sure, thank you. Abhidnya,
please.
the last part of your conversation was very interesting, which where you said that go with the flow and keep the desire, but the desire should not be in the focus. So enjoy the process of reaching that desire. This is what you're trying to say, right? So it
Yes.
really connects. It really connects very well, and of course, Gita or Holy Book is also saying the same. But the way you explained it was really interesting. So just coming down further to the same line of conversation. See, since we have been into existence, so there are a lot of, as you said, there are past 7 lives, or there are some imprints which we have carried with us. So how to identify those imprints first, and then how to understand those imprints second, and then like what kind of what you can, I could say that what kind of potential you think that we can explore those, or we can, how we can heal them, that is the right word, how we can heal those imprints, or make them better, or maybe remove them. Just please throw some light on that.
So, understanding the imprints is not an overnight act. It is a continuous process, and it's not an easy thing, because when you decide to do self work, when it is like you are pulling out that carpet under which you have thrust away years
Yeah.
and years of pure shit, honestly.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
one, it takes a lot of courage to come to the point to say that, okay, this is not what I want. The moment you say that I am ready to shift, that itself is the very beginning of your healing process, of or all of your shifting. Um, Unfortunately, that is a space that very few people are able to come to, because most of the time we come to the edge and then we stand there and say, should I leap, should I not leap, should I leap, should I
Mm.
not leap? And then we just kind of value away time and essence of all of it. But the thing is, if you do not leap, if you do not take the courage, if you do not show up for yourself, then you cannot expect anything to work in your favor or anybody else to stand up for you. So when I'm saying about understanding the imprints, there are a lot of when I do it with people or with my clients, it is a lot of give and take process. There is a lot of sharing that happens. I kind of ask a lot of questions. There are a lot of memories that come up, because it's very very essential to know what questions to ask. If you just going to keep asking superficial questions, you're going to get very superficial answers. But when you kind of actually start digging with a little more difficult questions, a lot of time in my sessions, when we are discussing, so I have this session called as Sambad, which is a very mandatory starting orientation point to understand energies and understand imprints. And when we're doing a lot of question answers reflection, we start from a person's childhood, what kind the journey has been relationship wise, family, different spaces, the school years, the college years. And when I ask these questions, a lot of people come up with memories that they weren't aware of. It's there in the subconscious, but it's not
Mm,
in the conscious. So a lot of time, when I ask them about their relationship with their mothers, or with their relationship with their siblings or xyz, and they're like, no, everything is good. And then I'm like, then like, but there is this one thing that I feel this was. And I'm like, okay. So for me, they see, for them it is like it doesn't matter anymore. That is what they feel. But on a subconscious level, that energy of that incident or that experience is still stuck in your physical body, in your aura, and in your energy field. So, diving deeper into that particular memory brings out different threads into much more, like people come up, oh, I never saw it that way. And, this is, oh, that has been repeating in my life. So, these are the way you kind of open the threads very slowly to understand, and see where the whole picture is coming up from. So now that is how you get to the core of imprints, but it doesn't happen like in one go. The next part is, once you understand these imprints, once you understand these patterns, there are different ways to deal with it for different individuals. Sometimes for some people, they require a lot of very intense healing, on a very very cellular level. People who come up with a lot of trauma, people who come up with a lot of intense grief and suffering, they require a lot of healing on a very very cellular level. So I use rather a lot of modalities like reiki, which is very very strong
mm,
intuitive healing energy, a lot of sound frequency, sound healing, because sound is the future of medicine. We all are vibrations, the universe is
mm,
energy. So to connect and heal that energy, you can't give medicines. I
mm,
can't give you tablets. I need to work on through energy medium to kind of get to that energy. So sound healing is a very very potent tool when it comes to healing of trauma, healing of grief, healing of loss. That is one aspect. But sometimes, a lot of youngsters come up with a lot of stress patterns which are very repetitive in relationships: abandonment, rejection, fear of being and voicing themselves. For such people, there are tools like meditation which helps them to ground their energy, to understand who they are. It's like my job is to give them that insight, to nudge them on, to encourage them, to empower them to find that voice through a lot of meditations, a lot of breath work, just helping them to learn the practice of sitting with themselves, because we all are so busy in our daily lives with so much of stimuli, so much of
yeah,
knowledge bombarded, that we cannot cut the noise off. So you have to actually put in effort to cut that noise off, to be able to listen to that noise, or listen to that voice within you. So that is how you use that's when you use meditations, you use chanting, you use dance as a tool. You use a lot of breath work techniques as well. So these are different ways to kind of work and start breaking that energy, those blockages down to, dissolving them to a minimum, so that you can kind of shift to a better space. So there are, and again, every modality has its own ways. Some might like it, some might not like it. For example, dance works for some, dance doesn't work for some. For some it is just they are able to instantly get into a space of silence because they've been practicing it. So a different way of meditation works for them. For people who cannot really bring their thoughts down, or be able to sit in one place, intense breath work makes a lot of difference. So this is where I understand how their energy works. This is how I tap into the energy, how I read the energy. And then it is from there that we kind of start working together. There's a lot of sharing because I'm sharing from my journey. I am learning from their journey as well. So it is
Mm.
like we are walking each other home. So that is how I kind of facilitate the programs, the sessions, and dive deeper into understanding imprints, healing, empowering whoever
Great.
is interested in doing self
Right.
work.
So do you think that these imprints are holding us back to reach to our full potential and eventually connect to our oneself?
Absolutely, absolutely. So for a kid who's, for example, you have a kid who's being told um, from the very beginning that you can't do this. Okay, that kid is going to grow up telling
Right.
himself repeatedly, I can't do it. Okay, but
Right.
the moment you somebody comes and keeps telling you, no, I'm sure you can do it. You know, let's see why you feel that way, or where is it
Right.
coming from. Why do you
Right.
think you can't do it, or let me help you do it, or let's see how you can do it differently. We all are looking for acknowledgement and encouragement and to be seen and heard and loved. So I think if anybody gets this, you will be able to just flower into and bloom into who you meant to be. I think the only ingredient that is missing from all our lives is love. So
Yes.
the
True.
more we connect with the love within ourselves, the more we are able to radiate that love outward. So if I'm not able to love myself, if I don't feel love within myself, how am I going to give that to someone else? Or
Right.
why should I even expect it from someone else? These imprints hold us back in fear. These imprints keep us stuck in ideas that are not ours, or things that we are carrying or have been put onto us. Like, that is the main reason why I started this whole journey. Like, I felt that was not me. The space, the depression that I was in, the pain that
Mm.
I was in. And I was like, this is not me. I need to find who I am. And there's much more to me than what I think at that moment. Or there is much more, there's a reason why I'm here in this time and space. So it is when you start asking the right questions that a lot of things open up.
Right. I will add empathy also with love. So people have really they need to understand all this to connect more. So my other next question is that what role do I actually play in my daily life, wherein I can you can say guide or lead the way to reach their inner journey, and what kind of tools do you think that we should use to at least give this message to people around us, or maybe do something for them on in this area.
My basic, simple, I actually abide by very simple things in life because I feel life is very, very simple and it should be kept that way. So, my mantra for my own journey is I at least try and do three things every day for myself that make me happy. Then it can be as
Okay.
simple as having a cup of chai without being disturbed, or having a
Okay.
cup of chai with one of my favorite persons. So it is
Okay.
as simple as listening to a mantra, starting my day with a mantra or a chant, which makes me feel connected, which makes me feel
Hmm.
centered. In fact, I have this ritual that whenever I cook in the mornings, because I cook for my kiddo, I generally have some kind of mantra playing in the background, because that puts me in a space that helps me radiate love into the food that I'm cooking, because the
Very
intention is
nice.
whoever
Yeah.
eats it should feel that love that is coming through that
Yes.
food. So I have a
True,
lot of
true.
friends who are saying, "Can your mom adopt us as well?" So
That's a good one.
I
That's
take
really
this
good.
as a thought. Then it's a simple thing. Like for example, I write a little small, love you notes, or little have a good day note on my kiddo's dabba. These are things that
Okay.
you can do for others because it makes you
Very
happy
nice.
as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Smile at a stranger in the lift, or
Right.
simply say a thank you to an auto rickshaw guy. So it's
Right.
very simple. Bringing yourself into that present moment. Just
Right.
enjoy that day, because yesterday is not coming back. You
True,
can't
true.
change anything about it, and tomorrow is not here yet, so you do not
Yes.
know how it is going to go. So
Right.
rather just be where you are, because there's nothing more in your control than making
Right.
making it a good day. So
Hmm.
that's in other ways, of course, these are the very simpler things. And honestly, I believe if we are, as a person who teaches or as a person who leads, if I'm going to give people very elaborate and difficult exercises, or tools, then it becomes more of a task, and people will stick to doing a task for a week.
True.
We go to the
Right.
gym for 15 days after New Year's, from 1st Jan to 15 Jan,
Yes.
and it is
Yes.
all the way back. So rather, it's easier to do simpler things every day. So just get up, in the morning. The first thing, gratitude for just waking up. Start with simple breathing, just to feel yourself centered.
Hmm.
Just
Hmm.
uh, most of us don't realize that breath is the very essence of our life, that we are alive. If I
Right.
tell you to hold your breath for like 10 seconds, you'll be like, I can't do that. So
True, true.
we overlook this very simple ingredient that is so important. I think COVID was a huge eye opener for us. People were literally suffering for something that is so
Right.
available. And I think if you can bring your focus to your breath, because breathing is the one magic ingredient that can take you from point A to point B within seconds. So if you know how to work with your breath, if you have
Hmm.
respect for your breath, and I keep telling people this, you don't need to do anything elaborate. Just watch your breath. That's it. Just
Hmm.
sit with it. Don't channel it. No deep inhales, no exhales, nothing. Just breathe. Just
Right.
breathe. Because that itself will bring you into the present moment. That itself brings about so many changes in your physical body. You relax. You tend to be more grounded. You tend to be more open to listening to what others are saying, listening to what your voice is saying. So start
Hmm.
with simple breathing. Another thing that I always tell, simple tool would be, just like we take care of our physical health, take our medicines, take a shower, hygiene and all that. It's very, very important that we practice daily energetic hygiene. We meet a lot of people on a daily basis. We interact with a lot
Hmm.
of people with daily basis. We go different places. When you come back home, it's very, 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 very essential that you kind of cleanse all that you've taken on throughout the day. Maybe just a
Right.
shower, or maybe just sit and chant, because it's very, very important to visualize yourself as this very clean vessel that you are
Hmm.
able to fill with something more healthy, open it up to more potential. Like it's like, if it's going to be, it's like, having a bin that is overloaded with stuff. You have to clean it someday, otherwise it's
Hmm.
going to start stinking. So
Right. Right.
the body is like that. If you not going to, I've heard examples when I'm actually talking to my clients, but it's just like, you can't hold going to the washroom. As a
Right.
moment you go to the washroom, you're like, oh, that's such a relief. Now imagine
Right.
that same kind of energy we are carrying day in and day out. You need to cleanse that. So
Hmm.
simple showers where you visualize that the whole water element cleansing
Hmm.
you. I think these are very, very simple breathing exercises, just gratitude, going for a walk, just being. I think there is nothing like being in nature. My biggest teacher has been nature. Just observing how it works, what messages it brings to me, what guidance it brings to me. I do a lot of intuitive energy work,
Mm.
a lot of intuitive
Okay.
readings. So that I think is very, very important.
Vishal,
Yeah.
listening to her, I'm thinking we are all open to adoption now.
Actually, very true. Very true. Very interesting. Very
So,
very interesting.
and this imprints that we are talking about. Actually, our name of the show is Sanskriti Sanskar. So imprint is sanskar, and our entire subconscious mind is full of sanskar and vasanas. And it is through the sanskars and vasanas that we respond to life. Now, if we respond to life in a negative manner, so the psychologists or psychiatrists or mentors like Abhitya go into the subconscious mind and try to adjust the samskar or eliminate it or neutralize it from emotion. So this is what she's doing, and she's been quite successful in that.
Very nice.
Anyway, go ahead with your last question.
Yeah, sure. So the one more question I would like to ask is, how does understanding of one's core energy help and revive and remember who we truly are? Just short, in a short note, like how does we understand that actually, the our core energy? So there are so many energies, So what is our core? How do we identify?
So the core energy is something that is that is your essence. So, for example, um, I wouldn't even say it an example. In my journey, I have realized that my core essence is love. The moment I am in my heart space, I am who I'm meant to be. I am most, it's me without any kind of baggage, without any kind of mask. The moment I try to become someone else, it shows in my behavior, it shows in the way I'm talking or whatever it is. So understanding your core energy is a lot of work. It keeps changing because as you peel layers of yourself, you'll keep changing. So if you want to kind of deepen that whole process, the starting point is sitting with yourself every day and asking, who am I? Because when you ask this question, you will get a lot of um, different answers. One day you'll be like, I'm XYZ, I'm someone's mother, I'm someone's wife, I'm someone's
Mm,
friend. But beyond all of that, you know each one of us vibrates at a certain frequency, at a
mm,
certain place. Finding that is is the very purpose of our life, because when you find that, um, a lot of clarity on why you're here is attained. So, for example, it does not have to be something very elaborate. Everybody does not need to be on the world scene to understand what their core energy is, or say that, okay, I'm
right.
for somebody who leads a household, for somebody who runs the kitchen, who's happy having meals on the plate for her family, who's happy being behind the scenes and just being there for everyone. That person's core energy is unconditional love. That's her
Mm,
purpose. For someone, as say a teacher, if that person has worked enough, knows that that person's very job is to keep his or her own biases aside and inspire others without judgment, to be able to kind of guide, you know each person into the unique flow. Like, I don't feel it would be right for me to tell anybody that this is how you need to do it, or this is your solution. It's not, because understanding your core is a very, 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 very sacred process. It is something that you need to really dive deeper inside to remember, and it only happens through a lot of deep meditations, a lot of deep insights, a lot of you really need to be connected to source to understand, and that will only
Mm.
happen when you are ready to open your heart space, when you're ready to open yourself. So it's like, I'll give you an example. The spine, our spine, it's
Mm.
like a pipe.
Mm.
You know, we always say, as above, so below. So
Right.
imagine this pipe is blocked with a lot of garbage. You're not going to have that connection to understand where you stand or what you're made up of. The moment you kind of cleanse this pipe, the moment you kind of work on this, that whole flow is opened up. So that whole guidance of understanding, what you are doing, why you're doing it, that becomes very, very clear. So that is, it's, if you have to sit by yourself, then it is a lot of going within, and then of course that has different approaches to how you kind of
That's it.
come up with that.
It's very interesting. Nada, you want to take the last question, or should I
Yeah,
go ahead?
I have few questions that are
Yeah.
popping in my
Yeah.
mind, so
Okay.
I'll talk to her about it. अभिद्या,
Yeah.
अभी ये क्या है कि ये imprints or sanskars can be addressed or removed by psychiatrists also. So what is the difference between your approach and a psychiatrist's approach?
um yes, it can be done. A lot of psychiatrists work on the theory of rewiring your brain. I work on similar lines, but more on the energy part. So for example, the doctors has a certain certification to work with certain modalities, certain analysis. uh, it is a fixed. So for example, if I give you test results which I have studied, and a certain algorithm and a certain combination, and I come to a certain conclusion, and that is what the issue is, that would be your analysis of a psychiatrist. I feel that as humans, the whole range of emotions has not been yet identified, and I don't think it is possible as well, because all of us go through so much of stuff that you cannot pinpoint a certain, you cannot just put anger as anger. There is a lot of nuances that goes into it. When I am working with energy, that anger, the core of that anger might actually stem from a lack of love. you know
Mm.
um, that core of anger might come from a core imprint which might lead to being abandoned and rejected by the parents while you were growing up. So in these scenarios, you don't have to rewire your brain. You need to do healing on a subconscious level, on a cellular level, to be able to clear that grief, to be able to nudge that person to voice it, to acknowledge it, forgive himself, herself, forgive the parents for that. So these, there are a lot of layers that go when you're doing energy work, vis-a-vis what medical science or psychiatrists do. It is more about analytical evaluation. My evaluation is more from feeling. My evaluation is more from tapping into the energy of the person. uh, when I'm working with someone, the energy shifts every day. Today a person might have a good day, tomorrow the person might have a bad day. There is a lot of ups, because life is not a flat line, it's happening every day. So incorporating those everyday experiences and then tying them up to those layers, where is these repeated patterns coming from, that is how my energy work evaluations work. So that is the difference between psychometric test and intuitively tapping that energy, because at the end of the day I'm just facilitating it. It's flowing through me. I am not the one, I'm not the doctor, I'm not the magician. It's just that I'm doing the self work to be open to allow what needs to come through me, flow through me. So there is no judgment in it.
Good. So then, while you're trying to heal somebody's or alter somebody's energy level, energy also condenses into a gross form, which results in pain or some kind of physical condition. So, do you try to evaluate that and try to release the person from that physical pain or aspect before entering into the spiritual aspect?
Yes, yes. So, like I gave my my own example when we started, I've had a lot of physical pains. You cannot get into the space. It's a very parallel thing. You also have to reduce that physical pain. So, for example, if I'm working on someone who has some kind of a physical ailment, if I'm working with a cancer patient, the one approach is allowing, working on a cellular energetic level on that cancer patient to heal and ease the pain that has already come onto the physical body. On the other level, the other approach is to help that person acknowledge why the cancer has happened to him in the first place. Where does it come from? What is the root cause of it? Every ailment has a spiritual aspect to it. If you understand that, then it will open up a lot of doorways to as to why it has come. Because our souls are here to learn certain lessons before we can evolve to the next level. And these are methods, or these are lessons that we need to learn. It's like from going from grade 1 to grade 2, you can't just skip to grade 10. You need to go through grade 2, 3, 4 to understand those lessons till you come to a point where you're like, okay, I've done most of my work.
So, do you do this on an online basis? For example, if somebody from London or Hong Kong or Philippines approach you and say, "Okay, I got this problem,"
Yes.
so how will you go about doing this?
So I do a lot of online sessions, as well as one-to-one. I have a lot of clients who do online Zoom sessions with me. The effect is the same because it's more like you're talking. The approaches is the same. So yeah, online sessions is what I do a lot, quite a bit.
So, can you tell us what kind of physical ailments have you been able to resolve in the past, in the
So
last 12 years?
So I've, of course, like I said, I've worked for my own, back pain. I'm working with someone with a lot of arthritis and PCOD. It works for cancer patients as well. But these treatments take a lot of time. Sound healing, especially, and Reiki works for most of the ailments. It is also as effective as, for people who have trouble sleeping, anxiety, people with migraines, or people with heart issues. It works. People with a lot of neurological disorders. It works. Sound and Reiki works quite a bit for most
So,
of the.
Reiki, you give online Reiki or what?
Yes, yes, online and remotely as well.
So, if I were to ask you Reiki now, you could give me a Reiki treatment.
I'm already
I mean,
sending.
just I'm curious.
I'm
I
already
mean, how
sending
would
it
you
to
do
you.
that? I mean, is it a mental kind of thing, or how will you? Suppose I were to ask you to give me Reiki, what would you do?
So,
Just
so it's not mental. It is all about intention. It
okay.
says where you hold intention and then focus attention on, that is where energy flows. So if I'm holding the intention that I want to send Reiki to you, say just for you to feel eased and relaxed, that is what my attention is on, that is what my focus is on. Of course, then there are ways to do that. Your visualization. Reiki flows through certain symbols, certain pathways. That's how you kind of send Reiki across. So Reiki can be done anytime, anywhere, for anyone, online, offline, remotely, anyhow. You just need to
Very,
have the intention.
So I think I'm coming to the last question. I think
I think.
how is raising your vibration and expanding your consciousness significant in the evolution of humanity and the collective consciousness of Gaia or the Mother Earth? How do you? Um, how would you go about raising individual consciousness for the purpose of individual salvation as well as the collective cause of humanity?
So, we are in a time where the energy of the earth, the consciousness of the earth itself is shifting. We are evolving as a race. Humanity itself is going a tremendous consciousness shift. We are moving from a lot of masculine energy, which we have been for eons, into a more feminine energy. Um, to understand how these energies function, it is very, very essential to kind of, again, understand where, how energy flows within you. So the more you become conscious of your feelings, the more you become conscious of your actions, the more you become conscious of your thoughts, the more you are expanding your vibration, the more you are uplifting your vibration. When you're doing it, it is going to have a effect on somebody else as well. It is There is, if you've heard, there is a lot of solar flares that are happening. The sun is becoming more intense, more brighter. So there is a lot of energy that is flowing towards the earth. This energy is upgrading our DNA in a certain way. And as human beings, this DNA upgrade is required for our evolution into coming into full potential of what our gifts are. So the more you work on raising your own vibrations, on getting into a space where you start opening yourself to receive this light, receive this energy, the more you are able to work with your gifts, the more you're able to understand yourself, the more your consciousness expands, the more you're able to see things differently. So, as a collective, it is like, one person wakens the other. One person feels like, in my journey, I feel I have been able to manage this. If I have been able to come through the pain and the suffering and the journey that I've come through, maybe I can share it with someone else. Maybe I can help someone else. Maybe I can guide someone else, because somebody else needs to know that. That is how you kind of, teach and share. So collective consciousness right now is evolving towards more feminine energy. So it is very, very essential to understand how this feminine energy works with you. Feminine energy is all about intuition. It is about the heart space. It is about flow. The masculine energy is all about doing and action. If you can balance action with intuition, that is how you kind of uplift yourself. That is how there is a balance within your actions and your words. So, overall, the planet itself is shifting. If we do not elevate ourselves, if we do not shift ourselves into a higher vibration, we are going to end up suffering. We are going to end up facing more challenges, more obstacles in our path, because there's no going back. There is nothing called as the new normal. You have to move forward. To move forward, you have to let go of all the baggage, of all those things, all those relationships, all those ideas, all those patterns that do not serve you anymore.
But only a few people might do it. The whole world cannot do it.
So even if one person does that, the intention again is what is important. So that is why we have a lot of global meditation program. When people meditate, come together and meditate. If you can, I believe, if you can ignite even one heart, it's enough. It's
Yeah, that is okay for theoretical for example, there is a war going on. Some of
Mhm.
the leaders they talk about peace, but they're always preparing for war. What kind of intention can we people give? Can we give collective, like there must be many people with Reiki and spiritual knowledge. So can we give these kind of intention on a collective basis to these
Yes.
guys?
Yes, yes. So that is why we have a lot of collective meditation groups. When you come together, you hold one intention and everybody meditates on that intention. People who are regular meditators do it on a daily basis. Like, for example, if I have to sit here and just send prayers in every day, maybe I'm not able to go there out and do something physically, but even one intention can shift the universe. You need to believe, you need to hold that space, you need to hold that intention. Intention is where it all starts. So yes, as a group, as one person, as 10 people, as 100 thousands, yes, I think we need to slowly start spreading this awareness. We need to slowly start igniting minds, especially the younger generation, to be able to. That is why it is so important that, you know we train the younger minds to kind of build and expand this consciousness of theirs through mindfulness techniques. It is important that we empower them, we guide them in the right direction, so that these future kids have a better leadership idea to lead us, because humanity is changing at a fast pace.
I have one last question. This is final. You were mentioning something about the moon cycle, and you were saying something moon. Can you just inspire the people of what is happening and how it will help them in the next few days? And then maybe I can send them your circular to all of them and see
Um,
if they can be helped.
um,
We got only 5 minutes.
so yeah, so the moon cycle is about the phases of the moon. Everybody knows we have a new moon and full moon every 15 days, every quarterly. So it is about understanding the moon affects our psyche. Moon affects, we are 70% water. Moon has a lot of energy that pushes and pulls our and works on our emotions. The moment you understand how to work with the moon energy in comparison to your own phases, so like for example, especially women have a 28-day cycle, and you have different 4 phases of the moon, the waxing, the waning moon. If you kind of orient that to your cycle, you will know when you have high energy and when you are in creative mode, when you have a little low energy and when you are in reflective mode, when you need to introspect. So new moons, which is tomorrow, which is a 12-12 portal as well, is a time to set intentions. What would you like the next 15 days to look like? So you set intentions and manifest them for the next 15 days till the next cycle. In between that, 4 days of a cycle where you say that you work on a certain action, then you kind of reflect whether that is working for you or no, or whether you need to make any changes into that. So when you come all the way to the full moon, it is a time to see whether what intention you set at the new moon earlier has worked for you, or you need to introspect whether you want to change something, whether you want to shift something. So moon cycle also speaks a lot about our emotions. Anything that you're feeling is going to be amplified at the full moon. Any emotion, if you're feeling anger, it's going to be amplified. If you're feeling happiness, it's going to be amplified. So it is extremely important to understand what emotion you are. It is, and that is why we always talk about using and harnessing the energies of the moon to shift thought. If something is not working for you, use this energy to move and shift into a better path. Use the energy of the full moon to release, because the water element works with the moon. Release what is not serving you, what is not helping you. So this way, the moon cycles affect our daily basis, it affects our energy on a daily level. So if you can kind of integrate that as a part of your daily life, you will understand how. And there's another thing, that you maintain a diary of how you're feeling on certain days. Maybe in a month's time you will understand how you felt through the month, through the moon cycles. You can go back, see, learn, understand about it and help it, use it to help you shift from one space to another space.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I don't know how to thank you. Should we send her a bouquet of flowers?
I should actually thank you for giving me this opportunity
No,
to
no, it
speak
was a
and
pleasure.
share
No,
my
we
heart.
really enjoyed listening to you, and I'm sure the listeners who will be listening in the future will appreciate your gestures and your expressions very well. And really, we are very grateful that you come on the show, and perhaps we shall meet again sometime. Uh, Maybe you should start a class or hold some seminars, and we'll invite you to Singapore, Hong Kong, or something like that. If you can make a specific program, and I'll help you with that. We can, which will include dance also, Sufi dancing and all those native dance. Maybe something could come out. Think
Yes,
about it.
we
Yeah,
can. Most of my retreats revolve around all these tools and
yeah.
techniques.
So
So,
next time you go for you plan a retreat, you can invite, I mean, people from Hong Kong, Philippines, Singapore, wherever. Also, you have
I'll
been
come
doing
to
only in India.
I'll come to Hong Kong and do the retreat.
Okay, then we'll do that. We'll invite you then. Okay, great. So now we'll have to end the show. We could go on and on, but I think time is of restraint. So I request Vishal to conclude with a prayer, a
Yeah, sure.
mantra.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. It was really interesting. I'll just close with a mantra. And just want to say one line for Vidya. Actually, whenever during the entire show, we heard you very well. You know, like the way you talk, the way you smile, and the way you interacted with us. And I'm sure our entire audience has a really got a good feed today. And you radiate a lot of energy. I want to give you this compliment. You radiate a lot of energy while you speak, so that's nice. So I'll end the show with a mantra, which is our ritual. So today being a Monday, I will recite Mahamrutyunjay mantra, which is very powerful. In the Vedas, it is written that this mantra can divert death as well. So it's so powerful. So I'll just recite it shortly. Om Trambakam Gajay sorry. Om Trambakam Gajamay Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukmi Vapandana Mrityormokshe Yamakita. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om. Thank you, Dada.
Om Namah Shivaya. God bless all of you and hope to see you again soon.
thank
Thank
you.
you, Abhijna. Thank you. Bye bye.
Adios.